everyone, my name is Ryan and I'm a flexologist over at the East Greenwich location. And this video is for all of you so that tomorrow when we wake up and we have so much snow on the ground and the first thing we think of is how we have to shovel. These are warm-up stretches and exercises, helpful tips and reminders for while you're actually shoveling, and then also a cool down if you feel like giving yourself a nice stretch after you come back in. And it's gonna be cold outside, right? So warming up is so important because then we get the blood flowing, then we get the muscles warmed up, and we are that much closer in preventing any injury or tweaks or just anything that's gonna pull us backwards, right? So we're not only doing weird movements as we're shoveling, right? Like leaning forward and twisting and then throwing the snow. This is not how we shovel at all. But we're also cold, so nothing's really ready to go do that. It's not like we're gonna walk in the gym and we're gonna pick up a huge weight and we're just gonna twist around with it, right? Like we're just asking to get injured. So let's not do that. We're gonna have a few warm-up exercises. Reminders for when you actually go outside and how to prevent any injury from coming. So let's get into the hamstrings, since that is a major muscle that's going to be used as we're shoveling. All right, so we're going to start with some roll downs, feet right underneath your hips, and you're going to start with your head being the first thing to lead you all the way down, thinking one vertebra at a time as you reach your max range of motion. And as soon as you do, you're gonna roll all the way back up. Again, one vertebra at a time, and head is the last thing to come up. So you're gonna spend probably about 30 seconds or so going for these here, and feel free after you hit 30 seconds to just hang out as far as you wanna go and just let yourself kind of get a good, deeper and isolated stretch at the end of it. And once you feel good, you can just softly bend your knees and roll yourself all the way back up to standing. So in addition to our hamstrings being super activated while we're doing this, we're of course using we're really using total body. So we could probably do like an hour warm up for shoveling, but we're not going to. We're gonna go into the arms. So we're gonna take the shovel right here. This shovel's a little funky to work with since it's all bent, but it still works, right? So we're gonna take it up overhead and we're gonna bring it back, and then also contract as we come forward. So again, we're opening up the chest here, not too far. It doesn't need to be anything that's causing us pain or discomfort. We just wanna feel everything opening up and the blood flowing. So you're gonna spend, again, probably another 30 seconds or so with this one until you feel good. Feel free to hang out in any position that feels good for your body. And then after you finish those, you're gonna hang out at the top here. So now we're back up to standing. Shovel is overhead. We're holding it with a nice grip, and we're gonna lean all the way over to one side. And then using your obliques to pull you all the way back up, we're gonna go to the opposite side. So here, a few things can happen, and I'll just give you some nice reminders while we're in these stretches. We don't really want to collapse here. So you want to keep space and length in the side that you're going towards. I'm all wacky here. And then we also want to try to keep our biceps right next to our ears so that our arms aren't way back here and they're not way forward. Next one, we're going to be using a lot of torso, right? Not only are we hinging, like I said, but we're picking it up, weight, load, and then we're twisting and we're going to one side. And that's really where all these weird things can kind of happen, and we can start to feel it in our back, right? So we want to make sure we're activating our glutes while we're doing the shoveling. But right now, we're just going to twist and come all the way back up to where we came from. So if you see how I kind of go down as I come to the finish of this stretch, it's more of like a dynamic stretch, active stretch. We're moving through it, mobility. And we're just swinging the shovel down and pivoting our back leg and opening up that hip. You can even squeeze your glute while you're in this position. You might feel a little bit of a hip flexor stretch here. Once you've done a few on that side, we're gonna go all the way to the other side. So again, just making sure we're pivoting the back leg so that it doesn't get stuck and we don't tweak our knees. Good, just a few more. We have one more stretch after this. All right. Once we finish those, we're gonna take the shovel and use it as support here. We're gonna take one foot behind us and really drive that heel all the way down to the floor. And feel free to take a little light bounce, not anything like quick and aggressive, but if you want to pulse this here, that works too. You can also always take this arm up overhead and squeeze your glute of this left leg is the one that I have behind me. But if you squeeze that glute and press your pelvis forward, you'll feel a nice hip flexor, psoas stretch all the way up. Good, and we're getting the calf. So many muscles here. Good, and once you've held that for long enough, we're gonna switch sides. Sending the opposite foot back. Try not to open up the hips here. You wanna keep them nice and square. Squeeze the glute, press the hips forward. Lift that arm if you want to, you don't have to. I'm getting a nice total side body stretch here. And when you're good, you can come all the way back up to standing. Feel free to keep warming up if you don't feel like you're warm enough. Repeat it if you want to. And then next part of the video, I am going to give you some helpful tips and reminders for when you're actually out there and shoveling. A couple main muscle groups that I really think about when I'm out and shoveling or doing really any household tasks and bending over, right? We want to engage our glutes. We want to keep our core nice and strong. We want to protect our muscles, our skeletal structure, right? So instead of just collapsing into this and lifting the weight, how can we make sure that we're squeezing our glutes and that we're activating our core, we're keeping a nice flat back, so when we're shoveling here, right, and then we're nice and warm and we can pivot our back leg and throw it to the side, right, but when we're lifting, we wanna really be careful that we're not lifting from our back. We wanna use our legs as much as possible. So try to keep your eyes on exactly what you're doing and maybe even talk to yourself as you're, I love how I'm shoveling this whole time. Talk to yourself as you're doing it so that you do stay engaged and you are mindful, and it probably is gonna make it go by even faster rather than just thinking about how much shoveling sucks, right? Last little tip for while we're out there shoveling is to activate our feet. We don't really think about our feet too often, but they are majority of the time the only thing in contact with the ground, supporting us throughout the entire day, right? So these little things on the floor that we don't really tend to stretch too much or work on strengthening, they're a big deal and they can help support a lot of what's usually going on in the hamstrings and the hips and the back, especially the big toe. So I'm gonna pretend like my hands are my feet right now. And if you're outside and it's slippery or your knee is kind of starting to hurt or just get uncomfortable, right? Think about pressing your big toe into the floor, into your shoe, and really stamping that down, like almost like clawing the ground with your toes. And immediately you're gonna notice that you feel a little bit more supported, especially on that inner part of your leg, where a lot of us will tend to just let it dip down, right? So using all 5 toes and being mindful of that as you walk so that we can help ourselves prevent ourselves from slipping. And then also while we're moving through these motions of shoveling, we have the support of all of our foot working with us as we lift and we twist and we throw, right? So I hope this was helpful. I hope that you guys use this and that it helps the process of shoveling and even makes it a little bit more fun. Like, why not communicate with our body while we're doing activities like this, right? So enjoy, and I hope everyone stays safe.